All right, welcome back. My name is Dulio. Got my co-host here, Luis.
Yes, sir.
Today we got General Lee, man. How you doing today?
I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Nice, dude.
Appreciate you guys inviting me.
Appreciate you being here.
For freaking coming.
Oh yeah, dude. We already started with some good conversations already, man.
Yeah.
We're talking about Bitcoin right now. So you were saying you don't think Bitcoin's like the next currency or anything like that?
Yeah, I feel like right now, man, with Bitcoin, because the form of currency is already being used in a lot of different countries. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think right now, like as America, we're just almost so far behind. You know what I mean? And we owe so much to so many different places that by the time we end up getting close to even catching up, it'll be too late. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we already owe natural real money to countries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
China specifically,
Yeah.
and they were using Bitcoin 2 years ago as currency. You know what I mean? So I think right now, as Americans, we're like trying to play catch up, but we're already so far behind that if we do exploit that as a level of currency, we're going to be behind the ball. You know what I mean? So like, and I look at it like with Bitcoin or whatever, it's raw. Like the currency itself is technically raw. So it's not like, a dollar here is $1.75 in Canada. You know what I mean? A dollar here is, $2 in China. It's just, you got $1,000 in Bitcoin. That's it.
It's like universal. Yeah.
That's it. So, and I think that's where like it won't hold as much weight for what we have going on in America now, because like real money, natural money fluctuates everywhere. You know what I mean? Where Bitcoin doesn't. So if I go to, like, let's say I'm from Dubai and I got, 400 million in Bitcoin, and I come to America, I got 400 million in Bitcoin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think until they find out that transverse, it's not going to develop like we foresee it.
Well,
I can see us using it, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, just recently, this big spike, this big boom in Bitcoin kind of comes back to these institutions investing in it. I forget, just big, I think Tesla, I think there's some other, I can't remember off the top of my head, but other big institutions investing in Bitcoin. And so this is why it gone up recently. And I think, I don't know enough, and I need to research more about it. And I haven't invested any. I have some investments in just a normal stock market, the New York Stock Exchange, and I believe Bitcoin might be the future, man. It's seeming like it's heading that way. Places are starting to accept Bitcoin as payment.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you had invested some money in Bitcoin a while ago.
Yeah, $1,000 in 2012, 13, around that time.
2012, 2013.
Yeah. So I was a sophomore in college, and just off a limb, I was like, hey man, like, it is kind of is what it is, whatever. And I wasn't even paying any attention to it for 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then 2018, 2019, I started seeing like, that's why I say like I've heard about Bitcoin through like what I told you, Gary Vee, but he was talking about foreign exchange and stuff like that. It wasn't like America Bitcoin, you know what I mean? He's like, it was like, this is the future, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, hey, America is using this or utilizing this. So, and I do agree with you as far as like, I believe it is the future, but right now it's being used in places that we don't, like, I haven't been, you know what I mean? So it's like, I was watching a video actually the other day on social media, and a guy had like, they're talking about Tesla and stuff like that. And like, right now, I think a lot of people have to realize is like Tesla is already like so far ahead of itself now. You know what I mean? So it's like, do we invest in this? Because this might be a form of currency that is going to be used to utilize our vehicles or, what we're doing now. So, and that's the scary part. Like as Americans, it's like, man, like when I heard of Bitcoin, like, and now that it's big now, it's like, okay, this is great. But at the same time, it's already being used other places. We're starting to develop it, but it's already being utilized. You know what I mean? So that's the part that scares me as far as like, how it's going to be used. Because what about people who don't know how to invest in Bitcoin? Yeah. What about people who don't know how to transfer funds that way? You know what I mean? It's like, so is raw natural money gonna diminish? Is it gonna deplete?
Yeah.
Is the value of it gonna be different? And that's why I'm like, I can see it coming in the future, but old money lasts, new money doesn't. You know what I mean? So that's what kind of deters me a little bit.
Yeah, and so with Bitcoin, I think it'll be a while before we even see, like you were saying, it's might be the future, but it'll be a while. It might not even be in our lifetime, when we see Bitcoin really being used as just like a global currency. But you talked about investments. Do you have any other investments other than that Bitcoin? Well, let me ask, where did that $1,000 end up? Did you end up using it? Do you still have the accounts?
Yep, still got the accounts. I'd actually, what's crazy is, my dad was really big on, like, growing up or whatever. My dad was really big on, like, if you don't have the money to buy it, don't get it. Like, that was like his, he just always entrepreneurs. Like, there's always hustle, hustle, hustle. If you don't got the money, don't buy it. I remember growing up, we used to always get used cars because he would pay cash. So there was never paying monthly payments and stuff like that. So, he recently got more into like stock markets and stuff like that and Bitcoin investments and all that kind of stuff. So he has buddies who are millionaires that he sees on a regular basis. And he was like, hey man, like if you really want to see things develop, I got guys right now who literally do this for their lifestyle. And that's when I was like, okay, so he's rocking that out now to the point where when we get older, I can be able to utilize that money in whatever facet I want to do at that point. You know what I mean?
This was quite a while ago, and I remember you were trying to invest in a gym. If I remember right.
Yeah.
How is that still in the plan?
In the works, I had So what's crazy is, man, is back in 2017, I've been personal training. I've been really obviously into fitness, but like basically my entire life. My uncle's an Olympic track coach. He was a bodybuilder. My dad was a track coach, a boxer. All athletics. You know what I mean? My entire life. So.
And if I remember right, weren't you supposed to do something with the NFL?
Yeah, I was down there with the Miami Dolphins for a 10-day contract.
There you go.
And then I got accepted into the NFL Spring League 2 years ago. Went down there and did that stuff, whatever. I got a call from the Cleveland Browns, New York Giants.
Wow, man, really?
So yeah,
what'd you play?
Everything, bro. Anywhere speed was needed: running back, slot, corner, safety, nickel, kick return, punt return.
Wow.
I've always been like pretty athletic. I've never been anywhere where like I wasn't the fastest guy in my program.
Yeah.
So I had been like in 2017, I finally made a Instagram page for like my fitness brand. It's called Focus Elite. And during that time, I was like, you know what, like. I go to a lot of these gyms, man, that are like so one-dimensional. You know what I mean? And like, where like you go in there and it's like, and not to knock anybody, but it's like the juice heads, like the guys who just literally lift. But you go outside and they couldn't squash a grape. They can't, no movement. You know what I mean? Or you go to these places where like CrossFit. It's like we're doing all these like high-level movements, but
mobility.
Right? Yeah, and super mobile, super stuff like that. But it's like, hey, man, push come to shove, you're gonna be able to lift it, lift something heavy if you need to. You know what I mean? So. I was like, okay, and we don't have, especially when I got to Missouri, we don't have any indoor facilities or field facilities where, like guys are being trained to develop skills, whether it be football, soccer, track. And like when I got out here, like I trained, Headspace, probably about 84 athletes in the state of Missouri. Some college, some pros, some, little league kids, whatever, stuff like that. Some high school, you know what I mean? And, I'm always like, jumping fences to train guys or like, getting into places where like, they're turning the lights out.
Yeah.
And it's like, Missouri is so far behind, especially Joplin, Missouri is so far behind as far as athletics are concerned. And it's like, this is why, because the dominant level of being able to train strategically is not being, foreseen. So
how true do you think that is? Because I guess this Joplin metro area is top 5, I would say. Bigger areas in Missouri. Would you agree? Is that?
I think I've seen. I think like Joplin's like maybe the 4th, 5th
as far
biggest
as what
population.
City. Oh yeah.
So
in Missouri,
I think for the area, I think we're not as bad as maybe you make it out to seem. But no, I definitely agree. We definitely can hold our own, but. I definitely agree as far as...
And not as far as, like, holding our own. I believe that there's amazing athletes.
Yeah.
I'm saying as far as, like, if I go to Kansas City right now, I can walk into a facility and have an indoor turf field. I can have we have soccer leagues out here that you play at certain places and stuff like that. Like they just built the Elevate the Game Center. Like this is stuff that Joplin should have had back in 2010. That's like the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
Yeah, so like the way I see is that we are not prepared enough to compete with the other bigger cities around.
Yeah, and not even just so much as competing, because like I train like a guy like Nathan Glades. He was one of the running backs at Joplin High School. Shout out to Nathan. And when I got him, he should have been probably one of the more dominant players on the team. But he wasn't being foreseen as that. I saw his athletic ability when I was at a scrimmage out there, and I was working out myself. And he's walking out. He ended up messaging me on Instagram. He's like, "Hey, bro, I saw you training. Like, what do you charge? Whatever, blah, blah, blah." So we did a couple sessions for free. And then the following year, he rushed for almost 2,000 yards. You know what I mean? Wow. And it's like, me and him had to jump fences. I remember one day we were working out at the field, and his head coach turned the lights off. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is an athlete for your school. I'm not training a Webb City guy at Joplin High School. Yeah. This is your athlete. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
So that's when I was like, I want to have a facility myself where guys can come in. Yeah. And like I could, and it's a lot of these trainers and sports analysts and sports people, bro, do everything so cookie cutter. You know what I mean? Like I can go to a gym right now and work out and see females working out, and I can be like, okay, I know who your trainer is, because their whole workout is all cookie cutter. I can go to a facility and be like, I know who's training you on soccer stuff, because they're all cookie cutter. Do you guys know who Desmond is?
I do know. Yeah,
good friend of mine, and he's worked out with me before. We've trained before, and we both play two different sports. He's a soccer guy, I'm a football guy. And we've done little things together for soccer kids and football kids, because he sees things a lot differently than I do. You know what I mean? So where I'm like, quick, fast twitch, movement, body stability. He's like movement, being able to stop and start and go again. You know what I mean? So you put those kind of combinations together, and you're developing a universal athlete, not a one-dimensional.
Focus on like agility, on movement, on speed.
And that's why like in Joplin, when I got out here, man, I was like, man, this is like, it was just crazy to see, because in Colorado we have the Olympic Training Center. We have 24-hour fitness, not like this 24-hour fitness, but it's basketball courts inside the gym where like guys who don't lift can come in and also play basketball. There's pools inside the gym for you to get pool workouts. There's saunas, there's steam rooms. And like they don't have that, like, we just, in the 24-hour elite gym here, they just put a sauna in there last year in January. You know what I mean? It's like, that's probably the first things you guys should have put in the gym. Some people haven't created the mindset to actually work out in front of people. Maybe I want to come in and go in the locker room, get in the sauna, shower up and go home. You know what I mean? The process starts with a lot of different things, and that's why right now I'm working on. I've met with a bunch of investors. There's a couple of capital guys that I've met with, trying to throw some money out there. What's crazy is the gym that I had actually found the building is right along like Maiden Lane, and it's covered by trees. You can't even see it. Like I'd have to like literally drive you to there. But when I got there, it's almost 200 by 400 feet. There's like a parking lot area. There's a area where you can put 200-yard football fields on there, branch it off like soccer, football. You could corner it with a mount for baseball, whatever. And I got investors that met with me. We're talking about money invested and all that kind of stuff. And then boom, COVID hit. And at the time, the city was about to buy the building from the owner. And, because I was trying to just buy outright from the owner. And then once COVID hit, the owner was like, man, like I need the money. So the city, he sold it to the city. So instead of us like, being able to say, okay, hey, like we can buy this outright right now from a person, now we're going through the city of Joplin. And it's like, and I think it used to be like a welding building or something like that. They used to do like welding or some type of construction.
Like pretty much nothing in there.
It's not, and it's the headspace where you can literally put if you wanted to, you could put a 200-foot rock wall in there.
Oh wow!
Like it's a big building.
Pretty big building.
So you could do a lot with it. And during that time, man, I was like, like this is what I want to do. And in February, I met with two more investors, and one of them was going to donate 70 grand, the other one was going to donate 45, and I already had 110 set. So I was like, okay, we're good.
I'll donate 35.
Huh?
I'll donate 35.
So when we were sitting there, man, I was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then COVID hit. And the guy was like, hey, man, this might not be a good time to get this because, like, you're not going to see any money for a while. You couldn't even go into stores at the time. And I was like, man, this is like, to me, it was like the perfect time to do it because you could do it and then we could get the money and I could build what I wanted during the time of all this, like, no gyms, no nothing. And then boom, once COVID drops, whenever I feel like we're in like the third semester of the COVID stuff. Damn. But once the COVID stuff drops, bro, it's like boom. I can be like, hey, welcome to boom, and like here's my gym, and then people walk in the door, and it's I was gonna put a barbershop in there, a rock wall, MMA area, boxing, turf area. You know what I mean? Where you can walk into the gym and get every facet of. You walk in, you can cut your hair, do some soccer stuff, bro. Get done with soccer, get a massage.
Dude, that'd be pretty nice.
Home, you know what I mean? So
is that still in the works?
Yeah, I'm still working on it. I've actually been looking at places as well in Colorado. That's where I'm from. So it's a lot of headspace out there in Colorado.
What part of Colorado?
Denver.
Cool,
yeah,
cool.
I got my uncle is like basically runs the state.
Yeah.
The Olympic track coach I told you about.
Are you still Olympic track coach?
Yeah, he does everything, bro. Olympic track coach. He trains horseback riders. He trains everything. Everything. He's been training for a while. I actually interned under him for 4.5 years. So he right now is like that guy in the state of Colorado. So, but he lives in Colorado Springs. So I wanted to do something in Denver where he can flourish athletes out to me. Like, hey, I can't get to this guy. Boom, kind of level up from there.
Cool.
And like we already have a lot of facilities like that there. They just built the indoor facility in Carl Junction. And I was training some athletes there, and like just a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, like if you open this up to the public and made it, $15 a month per person, you guys' headspace with 150 athletes would be $150,000 a month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like if you like work on those type of things, whatever. But people, I feel like are like so small-minded with certain things like that. It's like it's not about like just bringing in the money. But it's for people to say, hey, man, like, I train in Carl Junction or I train here, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what I want to change about this area. Because we got, like, guys like that that like to lift and work out like us or, like to play soccer. And, like, there's, like, little leagues and stuff out here, but it's, like, the level of competitiveness would go up if you could be like, hey, man, I'm playing in the Carthage League. I'm playing in the Carl Junction League. I'm playing in the Joplin League, a Webb City League. You know what I mean? And, like, during these times, you can be in Joplin and not have to worry about driving all the way to Carthage to get into a good facility. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff that I'm working on.
To kind of create a staple area of this athlete development, I think that's great. That's awesome, dude. That's amazing. Because you're right, there isn't a facility like that around here, to where I can go and work on my agility, work on my speed, work on just being a better athlete.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's great.
Now that you think about it, yeah, you're most definitely right. Like here in Carthage, it's mostly Hispanic people here, and dude, like, do you know a spot where like people like us can go out and freaking train? Like if it's a rainy day, like you can't go outside and just play soccer. Yeah. So like we don't have that type of things here nearby, and you building that, I feel like would be a good investment for yourself, and because of our Hispanic community here in Carthage, like, dude, it's a big here in Carthage, dude. Like everyone plays at least in like 2-3 leagues.
Soccer, that is. The Sunday leagues and everything. Dez plays there. A lot of people around the area, around the Joplin area, they all come and play soccer.
And they even go to the Millennium.
We played at Millennium. Now we got the Elevate the Game. I played a couple games there. I think it's pretty dope spot, man. They got the basketball there. They got soccer.
Dude, like, these Carthage people are willing to drive just to find a good soccer place to.
We got a place, man. We got a place in Colorado called the Bullpen, and it's originally for baseball. But they've made it. The setup is so dope, bro. Where you could be in there. You could be in there at one point, and I've walked in the building before, and you could see a track practice going on, a soccer league, and then guys batting, like in batting cages. You know what I mean? Like all at the same time. And it's like, man, like. You're literally seeing people, and I think that the more you have available in certain places, crime goes down, ignorance goes down, pregnancies, kids, you know what I mean? Like these young kids out here, man, when I got down here, this is probably the one of the highest places I've seen like young pregnancies. And I know it's just like a like a big toss up. But I got it. I was like, man, like there's a lot of young women with kids out here, and it's like it's boring. You know what I mean? It's a lot of stuff it's a lot of stuff that's not available. So we're like, you can do that and just like elevate the game and starting to throw like parties and stuff like that there as well. You know what I mean? Just events and activities to keep people, you know what I mean, doing more. You know what I mean? You make bad decisions when you're bored. That's just. You when you're having a good time, you don't make bad decisions. Let's just be honest. Unless you're with your buddies doing bad stuff. You know what I mean? So
and that's and I think this area needs a person like that. Like, for example, yourself, dude. Like, I'd be seeing on your social media, be like, "Hey, today is a great day," to blah blah blah, or you guys need to like quit the fucking bullshit, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like this area needs a type of person like that here.
Yeah.
And I feel like you creating a gym like that, I feel like would help the younger people look up, be like, whoa, like this guy knows what he's fucking talking about. Like, so I feel like you creating this building, or you wanting to make this building, and just you yourself, your personality, I feel like you can make a huge change here in Joplin.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the concept behind it, man. And like, it's crazy. Like I tell people all the time, I don't really talk about my upbringing much, just. Because I feel like when you express that level of like either pain or trauma or discrete information, a lot of people try to backtrack off of are you doing this for you, or are you doing this for the kids or for the people? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, man, my dad we never sat at home and watched television. Like, we never got to do it. It was wake up in the morning, 4:30 a.m. If my dad was awake, the house was awake. It wasn't, we weren't sleeping in. You know what I mean? It was get up. He's like, hey, like, let's go jog a mile. It's like, I'm 11 years old. I don't want to jog a mile at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
But we're knocking that out or whatever. And like, I started realizing, like, we get out of school and it was, hey, basketball practice. After basketball, it was like, hey, we got to go to the MMA gym, or we got to go to the boxing gym. We finish boxing, we come home, homework. And after homework, it was like, we'd watch Fresh Prince. And he's like, in between commercials, you need to be doing push-ups and sit-ups. You know what I mean? So
that's cool.
It was always like on track all the time. It was never a schedule, but it was like, I'm going to keep you busy.
Well, yeah. So with that, what do you think your dad was trying to teach you? What do you think he was?
Finding a way to utilize my time where I was always in some form productive. You know what I mean? And like now, man, I'll tell you right now, like I'll wake up and like my brother and them, I was just in Colorado, man. And like my brothers, I have 2 younger brothers or whatever, and they always tell me, like, you can never sit still. Like, bro, I'm telling you, bro, like if I'm sitting down,
ADHD right there.
like
ADHD.
Yeah, like I sit down, man, and I'm like, yo, like I need to do something. Like there's people, I see people on social media all the time complaining about, oh, there's not enough time in the day. Bro, there was one day I sat down, I was telling my brothers, like, I put a clock on, and I was like, we're just about to watch a minute go by. Like, just watch a minute. And, like, we did it, and I'm like, in the morning I wake up, I tell myself, shower, 6 minutes. After the shower, boom, I get out, I do my manifestation stuff, my reading, my posts I told you about. I do 3 posts in the morning. A negative entity, like something that I feel like is holding people back, and then like my morning motivation. So it's like, hey, like, don't let the downs keep you down. You know what I mean? And then my motivation is like, today is a great day to be successful, or like find a couple ways to win today. Stuff like that. And like I've been rolling on that for like the last 4 years. And I think over. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay.
So pretty much what I was saying, like, I've noticed that you've been doing this for a long time. Like that, you've been encouraging people, talking about all this thing. But how do you keep yourself motivated? How do you keep that same mentality throughout the whole years? Because like there'll be people that will have that same mentality, that same force, but throughout the years they lose themselves. Like they get sidetracked, or But how do you keep yourself focused on that same mentality?
To be honest, man, like a lot of it is fear. Like, to be completely honest, bro, a lot of it is fear, bro. I had a guy, man. I was in Colorado in 2019, and there was this kid that had messaged me on Instagram. He was like, "Hey, man, it was when I told you I took that break, and he messaged me. He's like, "Hey, man, like it's been killing me not seeing any of your content." Like literally, like he was like, like he needed that, like get your ass up, blah blah blah, whatever. Like, and I was like, shit, like it's people watching to hope that
It's contagious.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. To be honest with you, I can't remember when it was. I think it would have been last week, and this was on a Friday night. I didn't go to the freaking gym.
Yeah.
I was just being lazy as hell. I got on Instagram and I clicked on your story, dude. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, just watching your things on your story motivates the shit out of people. Like, it motivated me to get my ass out of the fucking bed and go to the freaking gym. Like little things like that. Like, you may not notice it, but other people pick up on that thing.
Yeah,
like,
and that's
contagious.
And that's my fear, man. It's like, you know, I have 3 children. I have 2 daughters, and then I have a son. And like, you see my son on my social media, man. Like, you know, he just turned 6, bro, and he is like freakishly athletic. And I'm not talking about like, oh, this is my son. Like, bro, I'm telling you, like, we've been at the falls, and I've seen him jump on 3-foot rocks. Like, just doing. I'm like, whoa, like, and I'm like, do it again, and like, he'll stumble or hurt himself. You know what I mean? It's like. He does like just fun stuff, and he's just like extremely athletic. You know what I mean? No, my fault. I didn't mean to cut you.
I feel like with you being his father, I feel like he can accelerate his skills on whatever he has to a whole nother level than what other kids will be.
And that's what a lot of people say, man. And it's crazy because like, you know, his mom had told me one day, she's like, you know, he's still a kid. And I'm because I'm like a
you're almost like your dad, you know, in a way.
You gotta let him grow up. You gotta let him be a kid.
And I'm knuckles to knuckles, man. But I'm working on it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he gets up, bro, and it's like, you know, school, you know, whatever, we get up, whatever, and in the morning it's like, you know, I can call my son right now. I'm like, hey, son, what's the price of being great? He's gonna respond back, hard work and dedication. Like right now, I can call him. You know what I mean?
Awesome, man.
And like, you know, we get up. You know, we get up. He knows that we got to knock out 25 push-ups, 25 sit-ups, jumping jacks, whatever. My son right now, if I run 3 miles, my son will run right by me for 3 miles. You know what I mean? Not if I'm like running like how I'm but like his mindset is like just so in tune. You know what I mean? And I noticed, like, you know, he had a birthday party. There was a bunch of kids there, and like he wasn't having any fun. And I was like, you know what? Like, I remember I was like, Zay, what's going on, man? And he was like, it was almost like he couldn't be a kid. And I said, his mom was like, yeah, you're so strict on him that he doesn't know if he can, you know, jump around or push, you know what I mean? And so like, I really let off. You know, my brother and them are always telling me, man, like, you know, like lighten up. And I'm not like, oh my God, you know, you got it. But it's like, Zayden, man, like, come on, man, like, because as a child, my dad never institutionalized this as far as like you got to be great at one thing. Like, I'm telling you, bro, like, I ran track, I boxed, I played football, track, soccer. No, I never played soccer. Baseball. It was just everything. You know what I mean? And I remember my dad telling us one day, he was like, you know, we got into high school, and he was like, it's, you know, he had so many kids. He's like, you guys need to pick 1 or 2 sports. He's like, I can't keep paying for you. You know what I mean? It was so many of us. And like, that was like, me and my brother talk about it all the time. I was a sophomore, and I was really, really good at basketball. I'm not that tall, but I was really good at basketball. And I was better than my brother. My brother's like has played overseas and all types of stuff now for basketball. But I was really good at basketball, and I remember like I was a better football player than my brother was. And I was like, man, like what, like, you know, like what are we gonna do? And then my brother's like, I just want to play basketball. And I was like, all right. So like I was like, I'll play football and run track. You know what I mean? And like during that time, I don't think my dad realized how much that affected us. Because, you know, like, my brother liked playing football with me. You know, I liked playing basketball with my brother. And then, like, running track. And then I wrestled as well. You know what I mean? So it was like my dad having to make that decision because it was like, hey, man, like, you know, we got to buy new shoes every year. And, like, because we were rough on, like, a lot of our stuff. You know what I mean? So, like, I think, like, you know, in a smaller portfolio of, like, what I can say is, like, for me, the motivation and the strive and the drive is literally based off of fear. I've seen many people in my family, many people in my circle, man, that have, like, failed based off of like not wanting to take that leap, you know what I mean? And like Luis, you worked with me for 3 years, you know what I mean? At my job, bro, for 4.5 years, bro, at my job, I always felt like I was the smartest person in the room. Not like not as far as like our team, but like in the office. I felt like every time we were having a meeting, I'm talking to a group of people who every time I speak, you know what I mean? Like,
I can 100% see that.
Yeah,
totally,
you know what I mean?
totally. Yeah.
And so, like, I would be in these rooms, man, and like, you know, people see my persona or like my personality, and like, oh, you might not be that intelligent, and it's like, you know, cool, and that happens with our cultures, period. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, if us three in a room with just other people, you know what I mean? It'd be like, oh man, and
we
then
get
start talking.
overlooked.
We get
overlooked.
And we start talking. It's like, man, these 3 guys are intelligent. You know what I mean? So I remember sitting in a room and we were having a conversation. I was like, I remember one of our directors was like, hey man, like I think you guys are, you know, making this an issue. I think it's really petty and blah blah blah. And I remember like I cut him off. I'm like, hey, it may be petty to you, but if it's big to one of your employees, it's big to everybody. Like it, you know, that's got to be important to you. You know what I mean? So I put my notice in at my job. back in March last year, and literally the week before my last day, I had like 400 something hours of vacation.
Yeah.
The week before my last day, they fired me.
Wow.
Like, literally the week before my last day, bro, they called me in, or they called me on the phone or whatever, and they fired me. And not to talk down or anything, but like now the company is in dire struggle. Like, I'm not talking about like, I might like I'm talking about like struggle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And during that time, bro, I worked 80-hour weeks. I had kids and everything, bro. I was in the homes working 80-hour weeks. There'd be times where like I'd be out of town and I'd cancel my vacation to come back because problems were arising at work, whatever. And I remember telling my boss, I'm like, if you run your best horse, sooner or later he's not going to work for you no more. That's just how it works. You know what I mean? Like that's why when you have a stallion, you breed a stallion with another good horse to try to upbring another horse. You know what I mean? But they were like, they were instead of them trying to develop me for better things to develop more people, they were trying to utilize me instead of, you know what I mean?
It's like this short term gain instead of looking at this long term plan.
Bro, yes. So like all in all, man, that's why like now for me, and I put on my notice at my job because like, right now I cut hair, I'm a personal trainer, I'm a massage therapist, I'm a dog trainer, I meal prep, I cook, I do all that, bro.
That's awesome, man.
I put in my notice at my job, and my boss was like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I'm gonna chase my dreams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Heck yeah.
I'm doing it right now as we're working, but I'm running around you guys' schedule. I've been in the middle of hair.
Now you got time.
Yeah, he'll tell you. I've been in the middle of haircuts where I've had to walk out on people because there's a crisis in one of my homes. Yeah. And I was like, I don't like that lifestyle, man. And I don't like that I'm missing time with my kids either. Yeah. So right now I can I just went to Miami, came back. Me and my kids go to Colorado. I can fly to Arizona for a week where my son's at. I make my own schedule, my own hours. Now, mind you, from dawn till dusk, I'm on go. Like, I'm working. I remember I was talking to Luis, and he was like, we usually go on Sundays. I think that's what he said or whatever. Right. And I was like, podcast. And I was like, Sundays is not going to work for me because, like, those are my busy work days. You know what I mean? So we linked up and made time. But, like, for us to make this schedule, Luis was really, he's always been like this. Like when can we do it? When can we do it? He's always been on top of that. And that's me and him have always connected because of that drive. You know what I mean? And I met Luis through
my cousin Jeffrey.
I met Luis through Jeffrey, whatever. And me and Jeffrey used to be super, super close. And then I met Luis. I'm like, man, like his persona, like I was attracted to it. You know what I mean? And like me and Jeffrey, like literally, we just worked out and stuff like that, whatever. But so we started working with each other and stuff like that, man. And like going forward, it was just like always like a growth thing. It was never like a standstill. And I tell people all the time, there's no such thing as being stagnant. You know what I mean? Like you're either going up or you're going down. You can't be mediocre. And like a lot of people run around like man, I'm at like
can't get comfortable.
Like I'm doing good right now, bro, but I'm sitting here, and it's like you're not sitting there. You're while you're sitting, somebody's working, bro.
Yeah.
And that's literally how it goes. Like you walked in here, man, and we were chopping it up about just stock market and development off of like a quick niche. And that conversation came about because before you got here, me and him were talking about it, and then he was like, bro, like he knows all about that stuff. You know what I mean? Yep. And I feel like now groups of people don't push friends. Yep. The first thing he said was, he's like, when he gets in there, bro, you got to have that conversation with him. And a lot of people don't do that. You know what I mean? And I think that's why a lot of places are just sitting. You know what I mean? It's like, and you come to Joplin, it's like, man, like just by the way that me and you were communicating as far as conversation, I can tell you that I can throw you in any room and you're gonna pull attention. And it's the same with Luis. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like I feel like a lot of people are envious of that type of persona, so that when it's around, it's a negative connotation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like they push away from it. It's like you got to embrace it, even if you're not, even if you don't know the topic or knowledgeable about what's going on. You got to embrace it and you got to be part of it. You got to engage. You got to learn, man. Like, come together, and balance ideas off one another and work together, man. And that's how great things develop. I used to struggle with it a lot, like me wanting to do things by myself and learn it by myself, and but that's not always how it works. That's not always how you improve. Working with people and collaborating and talking just about different ideas, it just, you get different points of views, that you might have missed and everything, and it's like a formula for something good,
The three biggest quotes, man, that I'll run off of, man, and like this is like my everyday in the morning, my manifestation thing, bro. You want to go fast, you go alone. You want to go far, you go together. Like that's literally how you rock.
dude,
You know what I mean?
I like that. Yeah.
And then potential is a man's biggest burden. Like I can sit here right now and I can talk a bunch of shit about how great I can be, but if I don't step foot into that greatness, then I'm a bum.
Yep.
And then damn, what's the third one? Participant's biggest burden. If you're the smartest person in your room, you need to find a better room. And I think that's what, like, you know, a lot of people sit in circles, man. It's like, you know, like I'll hang out with some of my buddies, and like there's one of my buddies, man. His name is Joe, and he is extremely intelligent, bro. Like
Joe Rice.
No. He's extremely intelligent, and I remember we were having a conversation, man, and like I taught him how to drive a stick and like, you know, kind of stuff like that, whatever. And he's the one that actually got me on the Webull and investing. Did like this guy did.
Yeah.
And we're talking one day, man, and I remember sitting down. I was like, man, like where he struggled in like some of like the street sports area, like I was like high on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like where I struggled in like the economics part or the money part, he was doing that reading and that research, and it was like, you know, so we never clashed, we always collided.
Yep,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So like that's where the growth it came from. And then before that, you know, I had a buddy that I was hanging out with that was just literally considerably a yes man, and our friendship wasn't going anywhere. You know what I mean? I'd be like I'd do something, he'd be like, bro, that was great, and it wasn't great. You know what I mean? It was like, you're just a friend, you know, like as a brother, as a actual statute in my life, I need you to tell me like when I'm fucking up or when I'm not doing things efficiently or correctly. And that's where, like, you know, I've been at work one day, man, and I remember Luis was like, you know, can I have a conversation with you? And I still got this text message in my phone. He was like, I'm not fucking liking the way you're running the ship. He told me that. He messaged me.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have been able to be comfortable with that relationship if I didn't open the doors for my staff to be able to communicate that way. And I was like, well, what do I need to change? He's like, well, you know, you're so fucking hard to get a hold of. And I mean, he went off. It was a rant. Like, he ended up calling me or whatever. So he comes in, and Ben was in the office with us, actually. We had this conversation. And after the conversation, like, our level of communication heightened dramatically. And it's like, a lot of people, you know, if Luis would have told me that 6 months ago, who knows where we could have been in that time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I want to be that person where people are comfortable having those conversations. Like, you know, after this podcast, me and you're going to become friends. Clearly.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah, definitely.
So if I'm doing something or whatever, and you're like, hey, bro, like, that's kind of fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to be like, oh, like, fuck you. You know, it's going to be like,
Yeah.
oh, man, like, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are in circles of all yes men. And it's like, you know, that's when you see like a group of dumbasses.
Yep.
It's like, yo, you got a group of very intelligent people doing stupid shit repetitively. And it's because I'm not one person in my group, bro, that my friends dislike. You know what I mean? Like my friends love me to death, but they dislike me, bro, because my character's not going to allow you to drag.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, I'll climb the mountain, bro, and I'll leave you the fuck behind. And if you can try to catch up, but you're gonna have to try to follow this path. And by the time you get to me, I'm gonna be that much higher.
And there's some beauty to that, man. Me and Luis have had these conversations where we sit down and talk about an idea or some sort of business venture or something, and then we give back this criticism, or like not so much criticism, but these opinions, and like, hey man, like maybe this won't work this way, you know, like have you thought about this? And then it makes for this well-rounded conversation, and kind of like you said, you kind of,
and it sucks because it's just me and him. Like, I feel like we would like more people to put their input in, but we don't. We can't find people that are the same mentality. So like, it's just me and him. I mean, yeah, it's cool, but like, it gets boring after a while. I mean, because we can only go so far. Just like you're gonna have to need other people to come help you out.
I'm gonna tell you a big secret, bro. I learned in 2016, bro. So my buddy Joe I was telling you about, we would go twice a week, bro. And it's gonna sound insane, bro. We would go twice a week to Waffle House at 2:00 in the morning, twice a week. And we would just sit down. We wouldn't have any topics to talk about. It wasn't anything like that. We would just sit down, we'd eat, and just like, not a topic, but we just kind of like, we were just like you guys, you know what I mean? And it was like, man, I would love to be able to like converse about this type of shit with more people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like, we would meet and we'd have these conversations or whatever. And like, you know, so we go eat and stuff. Well, he's my roommate as well. But we go eat or whatever, and it'd be like, yo, like, how's your week going? Because those conversations don't regularly get had.
No, I'm glad you said that, because I've talked to my friends about this before. We have a friend group in our group chat. It's all like just like funny like memes and like just all fun and games and stuff. But it's like, man, like we hardly ever have something serious, you know? Like, and I've tried to as I've gotten into the stock market, as I've gotten into this like learning kind of phase in my life where I'm learning every day. I've accepted the fact that you have to learn every day to
Yeah,
improve.
yeah.
And so I've tried to include them in on these other kind of areas I'm learning, so that way they can at least, you know, maybe spark an idea or spark something
Yeah.
to make them want to better themselves or better all of us together. And so I've pushed that on them, but kind of to come back, there's hardly ever been a time where we're like actually serious about something, like, or like talk about life or talk about
Yeah.
you know, how you doing, or how, you know, like what's this week look like, you know.
Yeah. And that's the scary part. I'm gonna cut you off, Luis. That's the scary
you're-
part. That's why we ended up meeting, because it was like, man, if I can't understand like your necessities and needs as a friend first, my communication is going to be belittled. So like we sit and talk, man, and I remember like my buddy Joe, we're sitting down one day, and he's like, I was like, how's your week going? He's like, man, I'm struggling, bro. And it was like, I wouldn't have noticed unless we had this conversation. I was what's going on? He's like, bro, like, I don't know what it is, man. My mental is just not there. And I'm like, is it like, you know, relationships? Is it school? You know, is it football? And he's like, bro, I can't pinpoint it, but like right now I don't feel like I'm where I need to be. And I was like, you know, like I had to sit down and pinpoint, like, you're winning here, you're winning here, you're winning here, you're winning here. But because we disavow ourselves this way, we don't see it. You know, people tell me all the time, like, bro, like you're looking shredded as hell. I see myself in the mirror every day, so I don't know what I look like. You know what I mean? People are like, bro, like you're toning like, I'm like, whatever. You know, I eat what I want. I train hard. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But and like you just said, so I got a buddy Kevin as well. And we did that. We actually started a group chat. Me, him, and my buddy named Chris. And I remember we messaged each other first in our group chat, because we have a very serious group chat like that. And he's like, hey man, like I want to add 5 or 6 more guys in this group chat and just see, you know, if we could do that. So we did like every morning, like Kevin, me, or Chris would like send like a positive like motivational speech or like whatever in the morning. And then so Kevin messaged us one day. He's like, hey bro, like it's only been me, you, and Chris every morning saying motivational shit and like, you know, talking about investing or money or you know, whatever. So he was like, let's go a couple of days and like let's not put anything into the group and see if somebody else does it. And we went 3 or 4 days, bro, and nobody said shit. And I'm like, bro, like, and then so finally, you know, Kevin and them never said anything about it, but finally I was like, I'm gonna address the group. So I remember messaging the group, man. I was like, yo, you know, like at the end of the day, like I don't fuck around with people anymore who don't help me strive for greatness. I don't at all. Like I won't even have a conversation with you. You know what I mean? And that's on the female side as well. I don't waste my time doing it. So, you know, I told the group, I'm like, hey, going forward, man, like we don't, essentially, me, Kevin, and Chris, we don't need you guys. You know what I mean? Like we talk about this type of shit every day. Like whether we speak in this group or not, we have another group that we're talking about this shit every day regardless. And it got to the point, man, where like I learned to tell myself the idea of me motivating a dead soul is killing me. And that's literally what it is. You know what I mean? Like some people are so fine with being where they're at that you will kill yourself trying to drag them, bro. Yeah. And that's where like I've had to like separate myself from a lot of people. You know what I mean? I've got a friend group: Kevin, Tevin, Joe, Anthony, Benjamin, and my buddy Corey. And like we are like very tight knit. I can like not talk to either one of them for 6 months, and I can text, and we'll be like, it was like we were just hanging out yesterday. You know what I mean? And then I got a couple other friends who like we've only met on relationship terms as far as business, and like, you know, we have those conversations. And I'll be like, hey, how you doing? And like it's cut and dry. Like I got a guy right now that's my friend. His name is Joe. White guy, very, 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 very rich, and he does not do small. Bro, he doesn't do small talk at all. Like he does not waste time in a day. I'm like, good morning. He's like, what are we doing to make money today? That's his response. You know what I mean? And I remember telling our group one day, I'm like, hey man, my goal for the day is for me to make $100 a day. Like that's my goal for the week. It's $100 a day. And I remember one of the guys that responded in the group, and he was like that's stupid as fuck. Like, you know, he's like, I'm a waitress. Like, I'm like, yeah, you're a waitress, bro. His dad's a boxing coach. I'm like, go in there, bro, and hold mitts for $40. You know, like, go knock on door to door and say, hey, is there anything I can do at your house for, you know, $20? You know what I mean? It can be done. You know what I mean? And I think people are afraid of that type of compassion, and it makes it hard. So when you guys feel like you're struggling, have those conversations together. Like, hey, man, like let's change the environment in which we converse. So like out to eat, or like, hey bro, like let's go to the falls and just take a walk. And like you'll start seeing yourself in nature and shit and be like, or Luis will be like, hey man, like this tree remind me of boom. And like then you guys think of ideas and like you branch out from there. That definitely changes the game, bro. It's never it'll never be too little, but you can always have too much.
Yeah.
Like, always remember that. So, like, were you saying, like, oh, man, I wish there was more of us. I wish there was more of us. Right now, you don't need more because if more was needed, more would be here.
Yeah.
That's why, like, right now, I'm here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, do you believe in this thing called the law of attraction?
Yes and no. I believe in the law of attraction, but I also believe the law of attraction comes with a fortitude of being able to be vulnerable. So like I can be like, man, like you know, those. I'm the type of person where I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about me. You know what I mean? So if I hear people having a conversation, I'm like, damn, like they seem like they're talking about something pretty, you know, like I'll get involved. There's other people who were like damn, like it seemed like, you know, whatever, but I don't really want to go over it. So, like, you know what I mean? Like it just that's just certain, you know, certain people are introverts, extroverts, whatever. So like for me, I feel like the law of attraction is also based off of like how accepting of yourself you are. You know what I mean? I feel like I've burned bridges with people based off of like how outgoing I am. You know what I mean? And people are like, bro, like relax. Like I was in Miami, we were eating at a 5-star restaurant, you know, like the little Salt Bay guy. And like I'm just being me. You know what I mean? Like you know, everybody's like, bro, like calm down. I'm like, bro, I'm not dimming my light to make you guys feel comfortable in this environment. I give a fuck less about what these people think about me. Like, this is who I am. That's and awesome. Our waiter came over, bro, and he's like, hey, man, he's like, this guy he's like from France and shit. And he was like, hey, man, I just want to let you know that, like, this place is so fucking boring. You know? He's like, you being here, he's like, and it opened at 6. We got there at 6. That's when our reservations were. He's like, we don't close until 2 a.m. And he's like, you've given me energy to finish. He didn't want to, he was going to quit. Like, he didn't want to be at work. And I'm like, I was telling my buddies, I was like, you know, you guys were telling me to shut the fuck up and relax. If I didn't bring that energy today, he probably would have walked out on his job. And you don't know where that would have took him. You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
I've actually, I forgot where I read this from, but I've also read that there's some people that they're like aura.
Yeah.
They're like aura is so huge that they impact just people that just walk by them. Yeah. And like that like aura can be like someone's having a fucking bad day, but if they walk right past you, oh damn, maybe it's not that bad.
Yeah,
like,
you feel
bad.
that.
Yeah.
I had just tweeted yesterday, bro, for people to stop knocking other people's blessings. Like and I don't know if you guys are into the spiritual realm or whatever, but like I'm a Christian, I believe in God or whatever.
Yeah, me too.
And I tell people all the time, man, like whatever your faith is, I tell people all the time, like, you know, I was like, you know, don't stop knocking other people's blessings. I said, what you have to realize is God, if God is blessing your neighbors, he's in the neighborhood. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that means he's present somewhere. Yeah. So, you know, he's never going to give your blessing to somebody else. You just got to be ready to receive whatever he brings to you. You know what I mean? Yes. And I feel like a lot of people are like, you know, like I'm checking your pockets. I'm checking your pockets. I'm checking your pockets. It's like, I'll make it look like I'm winning with $40 in my pocket. Yeah. And be struggling. Yeah. You know, people are like, man, like how you said, you're like, oh, you're always outgoing, always happy, bro. I'm shitty a lot. There's I woke up yesterday, bro, and I was like, fuck. It was one of those days, bro. Like I looked at my schedule. I had to drop my daughters off at school, dropped them off super early. And I was looking at my schedule, bro, and I was like, I don't want to do shit today. And I got into my first appointment, and the dude that I train has cerebral palsy. And like we get to the gym or whatever, and he's like, hey man, he works on a farm and stuff like that. And I get in there, and he's like, hey man, he's like, I don't, you know, he doesn't really talk much when we train. He's like, I don't know, man. Like he's like, I don't know, like what? He's not a Christ guy either, you know. He's like, I don't know what, man. Something told me to tell you today, bro. Like you got it. He's like, you got it. Wow. And I was like, shit, like, and that was like at 7:30. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, and like that was like my. You know, roll 2. He didn't even say much. You know what I mean? But it was like, that got me through the day. Like, how you talking about the aura? Yeah. And like, usually we'll be working out whatever, and he's like, you know, nobody's ever been, you know, he has cerebral palsy. He's like, no one's ever been patient enough to even have a conversation for me to even have a trainer. You know what I mean? He's like, I walk into the gym and I work out, and people are like, you know, this guy's like, you know, daddling all over the place, whatever. And he's like, so we're working out one day, and I was like, hey man, I've been seeing him for a couple weeks. And I was like, you know, I was walking out of the gym or whatever, and like I was about to leave, and like I saw him or whatever, and I walk over, I was like, hey man, I just want to let you know you inspired me. Like that's all I told him. I was like, just seeing how dedicated you've been, bro, inspires me. And he's like, I'm glad you said something. I wanted to know if you could train me. So like we were both like, he wanted to talk to me, and like I had just been noticing him. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then we had that conversation, bro, and it's like that, like that's God to me. That's aura. That's that compensation of like.
And a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah,
Like I don't know if you can build that or not, but like
I'm sure you can. I think you can. I think it comes back to we had Imbar on, and a big thing I took away from that conversation is showing love and giving love to people. And so part of that, I've kind of thought about this and like working on just talking to people like, hey man, like you see a worker, you see someone opening the door for you, like, hey man, I appreciate that, I appreciate you. You know, another friend does it amazingly, like, hey, like, I appreciate you, I appreciate what you're doing, you know, just any worker, you know, just goes up to him and stuff, just like, I appreciate you, man, like, I hope you have a good day and stuff. And there's that will, you might not even know it, but that person might need it, like your case, you know, person might need that little boost.
And it's crazy you say that, bro. It's so crazy you say that, bro, because the girl that I used to date, bro, she used to tell me all the time, she's like, you're embarrassing people. Because, like, I'm always, everything for me is so dramatic. You know what I mean? Like, I remember our waitress, we were eating at Old Chicago one time, and our waitress was like, bro, just, like, on it, bro. Like, I'd finished my drink, and, like, I was, like about to put the, you know, like, I'm about to put the cup down, and she's like, I'm talking about, I'm like, damn, girl. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, I put it down and everything, and then, like, our food came out, and, like, I didn't order, like, these cheese fries that I got, and she was like, I was like, I didn't, she's like, don't say it. She's like, I know. She's like, I'm supposed to go to the next table, but I already put it down. She's like, give it to your kids. Like, she was just, like, on point, bro. So, like, I tipped her $100. Like, bro, our meal was only $30. I tipped her $100, bro. But before I tipped her, like, she comes over to the table, and I was like, what do you want? Like, how much of a tip do you think you deserve? And, like, my girl at the time was like, stop. Like, you're not supposed to ask girls. You're not supposed to ask waitresses that. And she's like, I don't know. Like, what do you think? I was like, no, tell me, like how good of a job you think you did? She was like, $5. Like, so I could tell, like, you know, she's killing it. Like, I was watching her, like, I'm a people watcher, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm watching, like, $5. And, like, in my mind, I'm like, you think low of yourself, like, automatically. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, like, that's a little selfish of you. You know what I mean? She's like, what do you mean? She's like, okay, 10. And I'm like, here's $100. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, here's $100. Like, this is, and it wasn't because I got money. It was just like, this is what you deserve. This is for your time and energy. This is what I feel like you deserve. If I didn't have to pay for my food, I gave you $130. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think, like, where you say, like, that building and that level of, like, vulnerability comes from, like, acceptance, like you said. You know what I mean? Like, being able to say, okay, like that's a thing to me. Like, you know, you talking about your friend and, like, the opening the door and stuff like that. Like, you came in here and, like, I actually want to apologize to you because I didn't stand up when I shook your hand.
Oh no!
And I know it's little. I know it's little to you, but like. Yeah. If my dad would have saw me, he'd have slapped the shit out of me. You know what I mean? Like, just that kind of whatever. But before you got in here, he had already broke down, like, a synopsis of who you are. You know what I mean? It's like, I already felt comfortable when you got here. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
So it's just like, I feel like that aura is, like, very contagious because I feel like when people are around me, bro, they can't be dull. Like, I've never had a group of people around me that are like, it's always like, bro, we're general. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
And, dude, I mean, not to dog on those type of people. Like, I don't really like hanging out with those type of people, like, that are, like, too cool, like, bro, loosen up, like, live life, dude, like, do your thing, like, you're not gonna be young forever, you're not gonna be fucking 22, 25 years old here in the next couple years, so enjoy as much as you can, I mean, so, I don't know,
man, dude, like, talk about aura and everything, man, you seem like someone in the room, you know, that'll bring others up, you know, and
you're that light.
And that spark, and that's awesome, man. Sometimes I like that, and I you know, I work towards that, but that's awesome, man.
What do you feel is holding you back from that?
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe the fact I'm sort of in the middle. I can be introverted, but I can also talk to anybody. I'm extroverted most of the time, but it's almost when somebody's energy is more, you know, someone's energy is more. It's like, well, do I try to? Well, I should be myself, you know. But sometimes it's like, well, do I try to match that energy? You know, do I try to be as energetic or as outgoing as that person? You know, just kind of, you know, almost to fit in. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I think, bro, if you stop thinking and start doing, you'll level up. Like you're already, like, you're there. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I like what you just said. You're overthinking everything. Mm-hmm. And I think that, like you said, you can go in any room and have any conversation. I think if you just, like, stop thinking, and you're like, oh man, like, the vibe's cool.
Yeah.
you're the vibe.
Yep.
Be your vibe. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I think that's what takes away. I remember having a conversation. We were having a meeting with our team, and like I could tell Luis wanted to say something. You know what I mean? But because the group we were in, he was like, "Eh." And I was like, "Luis, you need like what's up?" And like he had interjected with the group, and it was like it had brought a broader conversation out. Because not only did he feel like that, I had 32 people on my team.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody felt like that. You know what I'm saying? But no one. It was like, damn, like, do I say this shit to General or not? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like, boom.
yeah.
So I think if you just stop thinking, bro, and you're like, okay, this is the vibe. Just run with it. Don't. The more you sit down and try to conceptualize the idea of like who you need to be at a point in time, you'll start growing. I can sit in any room. I can wear a suit. And he see me dressed the fuck up. He see me dressed down. He see me thugging. He see me chill. I can go in any room.
That's
you know
how
what I
I
mean?
want to be.
And people be like, bro, like we went to a meeting, bro, in 2019. It was 2019. I went to a meeting and we got done with the meeting. We're talking and we're leaving, and the guys that were at the meeting asked me how long I've been rich. I'm not rich. Like no, I'm just being honest, bro. The guys we're walking out, and the guy was like, "Hey, man, like, can I pick your brain for a little bit?" I was like, "Hey, what up?" You know what I mean? Like, and this is a 54-year-old man. You know what I mean? I'm 24, 23 at the time. He's like, how long you been rich, man? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like how long you been rich? I'm like, I'm not rich. He's like, he's like, how old are you? I told him my age, and he was like, whoa. And he was like, man, I've never seen anybody carry themselves like that.
That's awesome.
And like this is a millionaire talking to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, like, and like, you know, that made me feel good on our drive back. And I was with Ben, who was also a very intellectual individual. And we're riding back in the car, and Ben was like, man, like, it's something about being around you that when you speak, bro, like people are just like, and he's like, I yearn for that. I'm like, I don't think you understand that. You have that as well. But you don't see it. You don't see it yourself.
I see what you're saying.
You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, he's a thinker. You know, he's
Yeah.
And I think as well, but because I'm always like even before like we were having this conversation, whatever, like everything with me is like everybody's like, oh, it's chess, not checkers. I'm the complete opposite. It's checkers because like after you finish the game, you just play another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we can be playing chess for fucking 4 days. You know what I mean? Like I can play checkers, bro. Finish the game. We can shut the board down. I can be like, damn, like I fucked up on that second move. Double stacked me.
Yeah.
And like that's how I live, bro. And like it's like checkers is still a mind game. It's just quicker. So like that's the difference between me and my buddy Ben. So I was telling him, I was like, bro, when you get into a room, you're trying to assess everybody. And by the time you finish your assessment, you're getting ready to speak, and you're trying to speak based off of how you've assessed.
Yep.
I've gotten into a room, and I'm telling motherfuckers it's time for you to assess me.
Damn.
And I think
That's
if
powerful.
both of you, if you guys started that vibe, bro, you guys are very intelligent people. I told Luis, bro, one day we were having a conversation. We've either gone like into deep talk about fitness or whatever, or like him like getting a house, all this kind of stuff, whatever. Or we've talked about like shit that we both need to work on. Those have always been our conversations. I remember telling Luis one time, I was like, bro, if there's something on your mind, bro, don't wait, because like the more you wait, you ponder on it. It becomes a sickness, no longer a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm like, bro, if you got the issue, bro, speak on that shit immediately. That way you can't dwell. And a lot of people be like, oh man, like, you know, when things get rough or whatever, or if I'm mad about something, I don't always talk because what I say I don't mean. But you do mean it. That's why you said it.
Yep.
So I used to tell my girl all the time, like, when I'm frustrated, I'm going to go on a jog. Because if I talk to you right now, I'm going to talk to you like you're not who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I remember her telling me, she's like, well, if you walk out on me, like, that's going to make me feel a certain type of way. I'm not going anywhere. But I'm telling you right now, based off of who I am, and I'm intelligent, I can make you feel very small. I do not want to do that. You know what I mean? And I think that based off of, you know, I've known him for longer than I've known you, obviously, but based off of just your intelligence, I think if you dial down the energy that you're trying to think and manifest things for people to understand you, and you just like, yeah, you talking about, I don't match vibes, bro. People are always like, oh boy, like, oh, I don't match vibes, because if I'm trying to match your vibe, I'm ruining mine. So if you go into a room, bro, instead of being like, oh, like, you know, this guy's like outgoing or loud or whatever, you know, me and my brother go places, we're both very funny people and stuff like that. And like people are always like, bro, you guys are the two funniest guys, or whatever. And I'm like, bro, like my brother, like everything my brother does is so funny to me. Yeah. And vice versa, like my brother thinks I'm the funniest person ever. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when we're together, people are always like, man, like the energy you guys bring to situations. Yeah. And there's been sometimes we'll get places and my brother will start talking. I'm like, damn, I need to shut up, because like I'm enjoying his energy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think once you learn that, bro, and you just like don't overthink shit. Just let it happen.
I like that. I like what you just
Do you know
said.
what's funny? That everyone or people that hang out with me like quite a bit, think that I'm funny, that I'm pretty funny.
Yeah,
like,
he's
like,
funny.
yeah,
Yeah, he's
I
funny.
feel like I'm
motherfucker.
like the funniest one out of the handful of our
Yeah.
fucking group. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the one like I try to make situations like a bad situation turn into something
Positive.
laughable.
Yeah. And that type of energy, bro, is what keeps people consistent. You know, I tell people all the time, man, like, you know, bro, and this is like just a little like snippet story, but 6 months ago, bro, I lost 10 grand. I had $10,000 in a fold. I lost $10,000, bro.
Holy shit.
And I was about to invest in some shit. There was like some stuff I was planning on doing, and my buddy Anthony was like, bro, like, what are you about to? I was like, I just lost.
What do you even think? Do you know $10,000? What are you even thinking?
Bro, I was like sitting there and I was like, in my mind, I'm like, this, because I was only around my buddies. You know what I mean? I'm like, I know nobody stole it because my buddies all know, like, if they ask, I got it. You know what I mean? Like, or that's how much we love each other. You know what I mean? So I'm like, and then come to find out, bro, I had left my goddamn fold at Walmart and then somebody stole my money. They turned my folder back in.
Wow.
But they took my cash.
Wow.
So, like, now I'm like, man, I've literally been stacking this money for 4 months to get this. It was specifically off of change. Like, I made 10 grand off of change. So, like, getting a haircut, tips, putting it to the side. You know what I mean? Like, training people, training dogs, tips, putting it to the side. It was like 6 months. And I lost the money, bro. And I remember, like, you know, we're out or whatever. We're out eating at the time. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm not even fucking hungry. Mm-hmm. So we're sitting there, whatever, and, you know, we're doing all this stuff, whatever. And my buddy's like, bro, like, how are you not pissed off? I'm like, what is that about to do for me?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it's gone. The guy who stole the money is not going to give it back.
Yeah.
And he didn't technically steal it. He found it. Like, I left with the folder at Walmart. So he was like, my buddies were like, man, like, you got a lot of energy, man, like, to be in dealing with this kind of negative situation. Yeah. And it's like, you know, if I tell everybody, man, I give everything 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, bad shit happens, it's like, fuck. I give myself 5 minutes to beat myself the fuck up. And then after that, it's like, come on, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, I did it once, I can do it again. You know what I mean? And, like, that's just how I think.
This is one. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I have a buddy that he was going through a rough time. You know, he's going through a breakup. You know, we all go through like a breakup and everything. And I told him, I was like, man, I've learned a lot from past experiences. It's like, man, it's all right to be sad. You know, it's all right to be sad, like maybe a day or something, or you know, because that's hard. You know, shit's hard. You know, you know, maybe it's not a breakup, anything. You know, you lose somebody. I don't know, you lose some money or something. It's all right to be upset for a little bit, but you gotta realize that everything else is moving on. You know, and you gotta move on too. You know, you gotta look for the future. You know, you got so much ahead of you. You know, you just gotta keep moving forward.
Going. Yeah. And I'll tell you another thing too, bro, is like, with that being said, bro, you got to continuously realize that you got to check on your strong friends. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, my circle is very bad at that, and that's something that I communicate all the time. I'm like I remember we were having a conversation just a couple weeks ago in our group chat, and I was like, bro, y'all ain't nobody asked me how I've been fucking doing. Mm-hmm. And like, there I was like, bro, like you've been. I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm dealing with some personal shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like you said or whatever, bro, I've been dating a girl for 6 years, bro. We have 2 kids together. You know what I mean? And we separated, and like the shit hindered the hell out of me. You know what I mean? Like, and it was based off of my job. She thought I was cheating because like I was literally, you know, one of our clients had ran away, and like I was like leaving at 2:00 in the morning. And she's like, "You're not going to work," and I was like, "Bro, like this is my fucking job."
Yeah.
So, you know, that relationship had like disemboweled itself, bro, and just turned to shit. And like I was like in a negative headspace for like probably 4 or 5 months. But during that 4 or 5 months, bro, in like that negative space, people thought we were still together because of my energy. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, man, like I'm not putting on a facade. Like I'm hurting bad at her, but it's like, y'all still wake up in the morning. Y'all still got to come to work. If I don't do my job, I'll get fired. Yep. And then like, you know, you just got dumped. You know what I mean? What the fuck's gonna happen if you fucking lose your job?
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
So it's like you said, bro. Like that's the best advice ever. Like, you know, if somebody shoots me in my arm right now and I fucking cry about it for 2 weeks. Yeah. I've just lost 2 weeks. Yeah. The motherfucker who shot me still running around, shooting other people. You know what I mean? So it's like you gotta keep running with that. You know what I'm saying? Like time doesn't stop for shit, bro. Yeah. My mom got sick with cancer, bro, like 8 years ago, and I remember like I was like, man, fuck, like it's over. Like, you know, I was like, you know, she's like, I got a tumor. She's like they can take it out of me. It's not that big of a deal. And like, you know, you hear cancer, mom, it's like fuck. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm like, okay, like, you know, like. You know, I remember calling her, like I was always coming to town and shit because I was living out here. And like I was living in Arizona at the time. I'd always come to town, send her money, just check on her or whatever. And like every time I was around, I made sure she was never stressed about shit. Mm-hmm. And I remember one time she's like, you need to relax. I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah. You know, like people would come over and like I could tell my mom was getting a little irritated. I'm like, all right, it's time for Elle to go. And she's like, no, like they're not, like this is me. You know what I mean? This is me.
Yeah.
So like it's like you got to realize that everybody holds weight and holds situations a lot differently, but time doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Time does not.
Time
Whether
don't
fucking,
wait for fucking nobody.
You right now we could all be getting cheated on at this very moment. Time is still fucking moving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of like a big thing that I had learned, and I've also one thing that I used to be very bad at is I used to be a terrible listener, bro. Like I used to be a terrible listener. Like I felt like I had all the fucking answers.
Yeah.
And this is like in 2016, it really hit me. But like I was like, man, like because people, you're like, oh, like you'd be in certain rooms you don't know shit. Like just get involved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like people, like I can talk about some shit, and people are like, bro, you know a lot about that, and I don't know shit. But because I know how to communicate, it seems like I do.
Yeah.
So where I've learned now, man, is like, asking those stupid questions and like, reaching out or whatever to be able to go home and be like, okay, he told me like to read this book or to check this out and kind of whatever. And I think a lot of times people miss out on that part, like not listening, because a lot of people listen to respond, not to understand.
Yeah.
And like when that kind of stuff's happening, and I used to be that guy.
Yeah.
Like my girl be yelling at me or whatever, and I'm like, I can't wait till she stops talking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm looking at her like, yeah, come on, man. Once you shut the fuck up, I'm going in on your ass. You know what I mean? And literally in that time, she's told me like, hey, if you would just hold me when I'm hurting, we could get through it. And I missed all that because I'm ready to tell her like, you don't fucking cook.
Yeah.
You don't blah, blah, blah.
Shit, yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
damn, like
Yeah.
we just wasted 4 months of this relationship because I have not communicated on your level. You know what I mean? And I think that's even with friendships, bro. Like, I just met you and stuff like that. But like, I can tell by your aura when like things are going rough for you. You don't mean to show it, but you're not. It's like, like I'm mad, bro. And y'all are gonna know I'm fucking mad.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, but because I'm like I've got to be very energetic for my clients. I can't show that. But I'll get home and my girl used to be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I'm like, I don't even want to fucking talk about it. You know what I mean? Because I wear my heart on my sleeve. You know what I mean? I feel like you're the same way.
Yeah.
Luis is for sure that guy. You know what I mean?
He is,
you know what I mean?
He is,
so I'm like, what's good? He's like, nothing, bro. Like, I'm good. Whatever. And I'm like, bro, whatever. Then I get home and I'll text him like, bro, what's up? Talk to me. And then it's like,
then Twitter feed come out.
I'm like, and I think what happens is, bro, is as men, we've built this aura of always having to be so confident that when vulnerability strikes, it's like, damn, man, like, this motherfucker can't see me in this round.
Yeah.
And like we lose time.
Yeah.
It's like now, bro, if I got a problem, bro, like the girl I was just recently dating, I remember she said something to me and I was like, bro, I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, I don't like when you talk to me like that. And she was like, what? I was like, I don't like when you talk to me like that. She was like, oh, like it was weird for her to hear me say that or whatever.
Yeah.
She was like, I'll never do it again.
Well, dude, and that's awesome you say that because communication. I think this all kind of ties back to communication. Communication is so key.
Yeah.
Like, this girl I dated not too long ago. Well, we didn't really date. It was a whole thing. But I told her, I was like, hey, I'm gonna be upfront with you.
Yeah.
She had like a ex-boyfriend that still try to get have
Contact with her and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And she's like it's like I feel bad for him. Like do you think that's gonna be like? Will you get mad? Will you get jealous or something? I'm like, listen, like, I'm gonna be open and I'm gonna tell you how I feel about it and everything, and I'll be honest with you, because I think communicating is super key. If I learned anything from my previous relationships, it's like we have to communicate. You have to tell me how you feel. I have to tell you how I feel and stuff, and then we'll work it out. And I was like, if like I don't mind you helping someone out who needs some help, but when it gets to a point where they are starting to affect you. Like when they're starting to try to take advantage of that, then that's a problem,
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm throughout the whole relationship, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I expect you to be honest with me and everything. And I think that's one things that I've learned over time and stuff is communication is so big for anything.
Yeah. And what's so crazy that you say that, bro, is like, and not to get into like the depth of this, but I remember telling like, I'm having a conversation or whatever, and it's like, people like step out on relationships and cheat and do all that kind of shit or whatever. And I remember like, having a conversation with the girl I was dating at the time, and I was like, she was like, hey, like, I feel like our sex has died down. Mm-hmm. And like, I was like, because we've been very open or whatever. She's like, are you sleeping with other people? And I'm like, no, like, to be honest, like, I feel like you are. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
shit,
it was like
yeah.
we were both like thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, like, if we'd had this conversation 4 months ago, we'd have been fucking every day. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what's crazy is like, with her fear and lack of vulnerability and my fear and lack of vulnerability, it was like, damn, we probably almost both got to a spot where we probably would have both stepped out on each other. Because, like, in my mind, it's like, oh, shit, she's cheating. Like, what the fuck? You know, and I'm going to address it. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I'm glad we had that conversation so that she didn't step out on me because she thought I was doing her wrong.
Yeah.
And, like, with that conversation being had, it was like, oh, okay, so, you know, that day we ended up, you know, having sex or whatever. And then we got done. I remember she was like, I miss your emotional side. Like, I miss you. And I'm like, bro, like, you know, because I felt like when I was like coming home and I was like, look, loving on her and all that kind of stuff, whatever, like, it was like, she was like almost annoyed of it. But it was like, you're not giving, her perspective was, you're not giving me this enough. So I feel like you're giving it to somebody else. So I'm not even enjoying it. You know what I'm saying? So within months, we had missed ample time of emotional, physical connection because of fear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, and lack of communication.
Yep.
And that's, I'm an open book, bro. I've told numerous people, you know, in my past life or whatever, like, I'd rather you cheat on me openly and be with you for 10 years than you do some sneaky shit behind my back and me tell you at this point, like, I'm cutting you off. You know what I mean? Because if you can tell me, like, hey, like, I dated this one girl, bro, my junior high school. And they used to call her an nymphomaniac and shit. She was wild.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, but
I
I remember her telling me, bro, she was like, I'm just going to let you know right now, like, if I'm not getting pleased regularly, I'm stepping out.
Wow.
Bro, I'm talking about the day we started fucking around.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I'm like, I remember looking at her like, you ain't never, like, you know.
That ain't gonna be a problem.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the cocky person. I'm like, you ain't never got to worry about that.
Yeah,
and
yep.
like, we had messed around. I'm like, fuck. Like, I'm like, you know, like, I'm 16, bro. I'm like, and she was 2 years older than I was. I'm like, whoa. You know what I mean? I'm like, no shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she's just on that 50 Shades of Grey type shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, like, I've never been a part of nothing like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm like, no wonder you're talking about stepping out because certain men and certain people aren't open to this type of wild shit. So I'm like, bro, we're messing around one day or whatever, bro, and like she tried some little kinky shit on me. I'm like, bro, like,
You say, hold up.
yeah, bro, yeah, bro. And I was like, I remember telling her, I was like, yo, like I'm not with that shit. You know what I mean? And she's like, okay. Like, she didn't argue, nothing. She's like, okay. And then I remember 2 days later, bro, I called her. She was not picking up. And then, like, I ended up going over to her house later that night. We kicked it. And she was like, oh, I just want to know, like, there's this dude named Steven or whatever. He went to another school. But she's like, Steven came over yesterday, and, like, we fucked around. She was very open. She told me that she was, whatever. And I was like, damn. I was like, and I'm like, Steven, lame as fuck. But Steven liked to be whipped and treated like a little bitch. I did. You know what I mean? So I was like, damn, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so it's like, do you, she was so open, man. It was like, damn, like, I loved how real she was. You know what I mean? It was like, and still to say, like, made her, like, close as shit. We never, since 2010, we ain't never even touched each other. You know what I mean? But, like, I can call her right now and be like, yo, like, shit's going bad or whatever. Like, can I come stay with you for a month? She'd be like, come on, like, doors open. It doesn't matter. Vice versa. You know what I mean? But during that time, bro, like, she taught me, like, being so real and open. And not even just relationship-wise, but, like, just in general. Stops a lot of bad level communication. Because if she wasn't open with me, I'd always be like, you know, like, if somebody's like, oh, bro, I heard that Steven was over there. Now, like, I'm assuming shit. Now people are saying, like, oh, bro, Steven was over there. I'm like, I know. Like, she told me. You know what I mean? Like, it was never a secret. You know what I mean? So, like, my confidence was always high with her because she never made me feel like I was not in the loop. Even though she was doing things to me to make me feel like I wasn't as good of a man or a big honcho like I thought I was. It was just like, you know, it was just different. And she told me straight up, just like, you know, she's like, I'm just letting you know right now, I'm into a lot of shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was a sophomore in high school, junior in high school. She had just graduated, actually. And she was like, I'm into a lot of shit. Like, I'm really interested in you. So if you can't keep up, I'm just gonna let you know somebody else will.
Shit, yeah.
And I was like, yo, like, you know, this is crazy, man. And a lot of it, like, I look back now and I'm like, if I met her now, like, we would be the perfect couple because, like, I'm vulnerable to you. Like, if this is what you're interested in, I'm interested in it too. But because I was like, man, like, that shit's gay, or no, like, I'm not gonna let her do that shit. You know what I mean? Like if my buddies find out I do this shit, I'm gonna look like, you know, like some lame. You know? And it was like my ego was getting ahead of my mindset. You know what I'm saying? Where, like, I wasn't as open to her, and like now, like, me and her talk all the time, whatever, and she's like, talk to this dude and blah 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 blah. I'm like he's a pussy. You know, but I was that same dude. You know what I mean? It's like, you're just afraid of being open like that. You know what I mean? But like now, me and her talking out, I'm like, damn, man, like, we joke about it or whatever. And she was like, you think we'd be together if, like, you were like into like what I was into back then? I was like, not that I was into none of that shit, but I'm like, because I cared about you, I should have been into all that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel like people like miss that importance,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's because the communication doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So when I get over there, I'm like she's telling me, bro, and like when she told me about it, it was like, ugh.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
you know,
yeah, I would too. I'm like,
yeah,
damn.
I'm like shit, and like, bro, like this Steven dude, bro, was like a guy like we competed with each other in sports, and like,
Oh,
and
see,
I'm like,
that shit, yeah.
what?
So she stuck it and then twisted it. Yeah.
I'm like, bro, out of all the people, and
Yeah.
she's like, and mind you, they had talked before I had even like linked with her or whatever. But she's like, he's just he whatever I want. You know what I mean? I'm just like, all right. And like, bro, I remember like we're sitting there or whatever, and like I still held her and shit. We watched the movie. I think Transformers had just came out or some shit. But we watched the movie or whatever, and like she was like, I really love you. Like I really love that you're accepting of like who I am. And I was like, I don't accept none of this shit. You know, like I really don't. You know what I mean? But I'm like, but I accept you being honest about it because you communicate heavily. And like I haven't had anybody communicate with me like that ever. Like from her, like the way she communicated to me, bro, I have not had that energy from no other female as far as communication. And it's like now, like we're so close of friends that like she'll call me. It can be 3:00 in the morning. She'll call me and she'll be like, "Hey, like I just need 5 minutes." I'm like, "Don't tell me how much time you need. What's up?" And she'll be like, "Hey," because she's a very emotional. She's dealt with a lot of trauma. You know what I mean? So she's a very emotional person. So she'll call me and I'm like, "It's late." You know what I mean? When she calls me, I'm like, "You need me. Don't put a time limit on it." And she'll express herself, whatever. And sometimes she'll get on talking. She'll be like, "Okay, goodbye." I won't even respond. It was like she just needed
Someone to listen.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And it's like, I think a lot of guys get into a relationship and it's like, hey man, like, you're supposed to be the provider. You're supposed to be this big honcho, blah, blah. And it's like, a lot of times, like, your girl wants you to be her bitch. And I know that sounds insane, but it's like, be that person that she can be so vulnerable to that she's always in her comfort zone. You know what I mean? Like, damn, you ever been in a relationship? She's like, well, I wanted to tell you. I hate hearing that shit. It's like, you should just fucking tell me.
Yeah,
But it's like, I thought that.
And it was
you would-
after the fact.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I thought that you would, or blah, 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 blah. And it's like, damn, like, I'm a really big critic on myself with that stuff now. Like, I want to make you feel so comfortable that being uncomfortable around me is comfortable to you. You know what I mean? Like, I've been in a relationship for a long time, whatever. I used to tell my girl, I was like, like, until you can poop with the door open, this shit ain't real.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And she's like, what? And I remember, like, just like not too long ago, whatever, like we were like laying under the covers, whatever. She farted, and I was like, "Yo, what the fuck?" Like looking at her, and I'm like, and I was like, "Damn!" Like as nasty as that may sound, I'm like she's opening the fuck up.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? And then like she was shitting. And I used to always like bust the door open and be like, she's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Whatever. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I'm like, "Bro, like be open." And then it turns to the point where like I come, I'm like, "God damn, what the fuck?" You know what I mean? Like she's shitting. You know what I mean? Everybody's like, bro, that's weird as fuck. But I'm like, bro.
No.
It's that security of her feeling confident, like he sees me at my lowest states, and he still got me. You know what I mean? And I think, like you said, like you can deal with only so much, but if you're open, you can deal with everything. Like you can literally, if I tell you as a friend, bro, like, hey man, like to be completely honest, bro, like stop fucking texting me at 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I don't like when you text me at 9, bro. Like during this time from 9 to 10:30, that's like my time with my family, like or whatever.
Yeah.
And like. You're like, okay, bro, cool.
Yeah.
It's literally like
And then,
that
and then it's
time.
on me to have that open mind, that open mind, because I could take that and be pissed off, like, fuck, well, I ain't gonna fucking text you anymore, No,
like,
but
fuck you, bro. You know that's when I get off work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's on me too. It's on that other person to be understanding and like you said, almost be vulnerable and like understand. All right, well, this is kind of the boundaries he set, and like I'll respect that,
Yeah, and that sensible notion, bro, amongst friends is like what's so crazy, like. How you were talking about, like how like you're like to make the crazy shit seem cool, like fun or whatever, like oh man, like some bad shit just happened or whatever. We were in Colorado in 2013, bro, and we got in a terrible car accident. My buddy was going like 110. We got in a terrible car, bro, totaled his car and shit. And like I remember we get out and his car had flipped. His mom had just bought it, bro.
Damn.
Flipped the car, bro. No, it wasn't. It's 2009. Flipped the car, bro. Like I thought we were gonna die. I remember looking over and we're both like holding the ceiling and shit. Like we flipped, we landed in a pile of rocks, and I remember like dust going through the window and shit. And his name was Dimitri. I was like, "You good, bro?" He was like, "Yeah." Like because we were both like shit. So I remember we got out of the car. And like he was crying and shit because his mom was gonna beat his ass. And I was like, bro, as crazy as this may seem, your mom is about to hold you so fucking tight when she gets here. He's like, she's gonna fuck me up. I'm like, no, like we're alive. Like his wheels on his car were flat. I'm like, bro, like when she sees what the fuck just happened, she's gonna hold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's gonna hug you, then she's gonna fuck you up.
Right. You know,
Yeah,
like-
she's gonna make sure you're alright.
She's gonna make sure you're good at her, but it's like
yeah.
like that level of security. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember telling him, I was like, bro, like check this out, bro. I remember where he was driving, bro, because he had just got his car. He wanted to fucking see what it was like to pull an e-brake. We're on like dirt and gravel, and I remember like he was driving and shit, and like I didn't have my seatbelt on at first, and like he was driving whatever, and I look over, and he's going 40. You know what I mean? Like okay, whatever. And I look over, it's like 65. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, yo, like I didn't want to be like no bitch, like yo, slow down. Like, you know, like, I reach over, I click it, he's still going or whatever, and I'm like, damn. I look over, and he's like 95. I'm like, bro, like I'm like,
gravel?
bro, on gravel, bro, and he just got a brand new Mitsubishi Lancer. I'm like, slow down, bro, and like, but I didn't say this to him. I'm just like, whatever, because in my mind, I'm like, it's a lot of dirt. I'm like, we just about to slide or whatever. He pulled that bitch, bro, turned, and bro, so like I had not rolled my window up yet, so like it was like dust was getting in my face and shit. And I remember the next thing I know, I looked over, bro, and I could touch the ground. Like it was like, but like you know what I mean? I was like, what the fuck? And like I look over, and he was like, this was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So we flipped, and then we hit a pole, and then spun this way, and then landed in rocks. And I was like. I was like, we're dead. Like in my mind, I'm like, we are dead.
Dude,
and like,
it all happened so quick, right?
yeah, it was like boom, boom.
Yeah.
But the people behind us saw it, and they were like, y'all were flipping forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I remember telling them, I was like, so if we get out of the car, or whatever, because it was the day before. It was a Thursdays. I remember it was before our football game.
Yeah.
The day before our football game. So we used to all go eat at this like Hooters to Wings.
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember like we went to go eat afterwards. His mom let me because he wasn't, mind you, he just got his license and a new car, so you're not supposed to even drive anybody. So we end up going to eat and shit, and like you know he's like in a whole negative like you know, and I remember like it's the whole football team and shit whatever, and I was like, hey man, you know like last game I just rushed for 240 yards, like tomorrow I'm probably like I was like tomorrow I probably wasn't even gonna be able to play because Demetrius just tried to fucking murder me.
Yeah,
You know what I mean, whatever, and like you know he smiled a little bit, like I could tell he was like wanting to laugh whatever. And I was like, hey, Dimitri, man, like, you know, I'm like trying to like really lighten the situation up. I was like, bro, y'all had insurance, right? And he was like, yeah. I was like, cool, bro, you get a new car tomorrow, we can do it again. Just little shit like that, or whatever. But like, it made him feel like warm again. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people need that, bro. Like, you'll be with your strong friends, bro, and just be like, you look like shit today, bro. Just wanted to let you know. You know what I mean? Their friend be like, man, fuck you. You know, like people need that consolement. And like just with relationships, like we were talking about, like that open communication is heavy. If I tell Luis, like, bro, like I don't like, bro, that when me and you are together, bro, like when you talk to me, you make me feel like I'm lower than you.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay. It's like, you know, you need to ask more questions of why I feel like you make me feel like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, so when you have those type of conversations, it's like, and if you're completely open with somebody, bro, you can't be hurt by nothing because the communication has always been there. You know what I mean? People get hurt because you don't communicate. Like people do stuff to people and you're like, damn, like that was fucked up.
Yep.
And it's like, it really wasn't because you never told that person that you didn't like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like people meet people or get in relationships and think like, oh, you should know how to treat me. You don't.
Yeah.
You know, I can sit there all day and be like, damn, like you're texting other guys? And I'd be like, oh, I'm like these are just my friends. And like because I've been in bad relationships in the past, I'm like, oh, she's fucking all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or really
yeah.
like she's just cool, a cool chick. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like, damn, like you know. And that's what I tell people all the time. When I get in a relationship, I'm knocking out all borders on top. Like yo, like I don't like this. Like you know, this is my trauma. Like I need you to whatever. I'm not gonna tell you about my last relationship, but I'm gonna tell you about the trauma I've dealt with in relationships. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like I feel like you do that. I've done that with girls, and like we've hung out for a night, and then the next day they've not texted me back. You know what I mean? And I've done that with girls, and like. That night, they're like, "Oh my god! Like I've never felt so like comfortable around a person on the first night." You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And it's like those conversations need to be had.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah,
not
definitely.
a lot of times. They're not even like within friendships. Like you know, I'm telling you right now, bro. Like if I call you at 11 p.m. or 12, I don't just call motherfuckers, bro. So if I call you, bro, you better pick up because that means I need you. And then I call, you don't answer, and you're like, "Oh, bro, I'll sleep." Okay, cool. Well, you know, I'll let you know that, you know, this is what I'm doing. I might be in a situation. That's not your job to fucking just be like, you know, looking at your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I don't make calls. You know, I don't make calls. So if I call you, it's important. I don't call people, bro. And I tell people all the time, like, if you got an iPhone, I'm FaceTiming you. Like, you like, I'm not a. Don't call me. I'm a FaceTime. You know what I mean? So, but I'm big on that, bro. Like, my communication is very like immediate because I feel like people waste so much time like trying to either over communicate or under assess why they're communicating. You know what I mean? So it's like, yo, like, hey man, like it was literally Luis was and that's one thing I've cherished about our friendship is he's so. It's like like, and I love that shit. He's like, hey man, like I put on there like, hey man, I'm about to. It was like a segment from one of my podcasts, but I muted it, and it was just like you could just see the video of like me talking and shit. And I was like, hey bro, because I haven't dropped my videos yet. So he messaged me. He's like, bro, like this is dope. Like I would like you to be on our podcast. We got a podcast too, whatever. You know, when he messaged me, blah blah blah. I was like, okay. He's like, we got to get it together. And I was just like, cool. Like, you know what I mean? Because like I'm running so many shoes. I'm like, whatever. And then literally 30 minutes later, I get a message. He's like, when are you available?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, blah, blah. He's like, okay, blah, 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 this day, this time. And it was like, and that's what that's what I've always loved about him. Because it's like, bro, he's not wasting any time. Like during that, I could not be here for another three weeks because I was just like, okay, cool. And then him messaging me like, bro, like you got time? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's why I've always cherished our friendship because Luis doesn't fuck around with the time span. Yeah. It's like I can do this, I can't do this, I can do that, I can't do that.
It's like persistence.
Yes, bro. And like I'm like that, but like I'm an asshole. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I've got to work on. Luis is not an asshole with it. I'm dickish. Like, hey, bro, like we got to meet tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Like, I can't do 11. Well, then we can't do it. Yeah. Like that. That's me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, you know, so and my dad's like, you got to work on that, man. Like, everybody doesn't operate on your time. And I'm like, bro, what's the way my calendar's set up? If you don't operate on my time, we can't fuck around. You know what I mean? But when you gave me a time where you're like, well, okay, how about this time, whatever. And then like the lady I was supposed to train today, she's like, hey, like I'm gonna do an extra hour at work. So like it worked perfectly. I'm like, bet, cool. So like just the cards played out like they needed it to. You know what I mean?
Dude, well, dude, this has been an amazing conversation, man. I appreciate you, man. Listening to you, your energy, man. It's awesome, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate y'all having me on for sure.
That's what I told him. So whenever I message, I'm like, dude, like I see the way you're moving. You're moving freaking different. Like you don't see people doing this type of thing. Like I would like you to come in and talk about us and lecture our people that are watching this video, like on what things he does, blah blah. Because that's like these conversations are the type of conversation everyone needs. Yeah. Everyone needs. Yeah. I don't care how big you are, how smart you are. You always need these conversations, and you need the support system that's behind you. Yeah. So that's one reason why I brought you in, because like you're a perfect example of that. Like you're leading by example as well.
I appreciate that,
and,
man.
Definitely. With that being said, is there like anything you want to say to the audience that might watch this here in a couple weeks?
To be honest, bro, like one of my biggest things, I already told you guys my 3 quotes, whatever, but one of my biggest things, man, is like the opportunities are free if the hustle is. You know what I mean? Like, so like, you know, for those people who are out there, man, that are like, you know, struggling with like either depression or anxiety or a mindset or like, you know, taking that leap, you know what I mean? And I tell people all the time, it's not a leap of faith, because if you've envisioned the leap, you can take it. You know what I mean? Like literally, it's that simple. Yeah. If you've sat down and you've manifested the idea of completing it, you can do it. And I think people just need to stop getting behind themselves and just jump. You know what I mean? A lot of people feel like they need to be pushed or promoted or
wait for the right time.
The right time, yeah. The right time is now, bro. Like, yes, sir. You know, I tell people all the time, bro. Like, I give up on myself 3 times a day. And I know this sounds fucking insane, but I give up on myself 3 times a day. If I'm pushing for something and it's not going the way I need it to go, I'm doing something wrong about that. So I give up on it. I'm like, okay, like I need to stop. I don't give up on the process of what I'm doing. I give up on the process of the way I'm doing it. Then I got to go back and reassess. And I feel like a lot of times people don't give up on themselves the correct way. They're giving up on the idea of what they want to do.
Yeah, they hold on to the...
Yeah. And so I give up. I'm like, okay, going this route is not working. Just like when I was training for the NFL. I was like, you know, I'm doing this. And I go to these combines. I'm like, bro, I'm running 4.3s at every fucking combine. And no one's calling me. Yeah. And I remember one of my agents was like, hey, man, like, your confidence. He's like, you almost come off as cocky at these events. And I'm like cocky, like he was like, it's a bad cocky, because like can't nobody guard me, can't nobody hold me, can't. That's my mindset. But like I'm showing it in a egotistical manner. So I was like, okay, boom, I reassessed it, boom, got a call. Literally, like I gave up on that me, and I started a new me. Reassessed it, got a call. You know what I mean? And I think people don't discover the times to give up. It's just like you know, I told you, I was like, I mean, I want to do this podcast forever. Like, you know, it's everything that you create as an idea has already been processed. Period. You know, you just have to literally step foot into it and be like, okay, fuck the fear, fuck the idea of like what people would think about it. Like, let's just go fucking do it. And like that's what I tell people all the time, bro. Like, don't give up on yourself, but give up on the things that are holding you back. And I do that daily, bro. Like on the way here, I was on a phone call I missed the turn for the fucking exit. I missed the turn. And I was like, damn. And like the girl I've been talking to or whatever, she lives out in St. Louis, and like she's like a trainer and stuff. And she's like trying to get started, and she's struggling. Like she's struggling so bad. And she just moved from Colorado. And I remember telling her, I was like, why do you think that you had clientele in Colorado, but you're struggling with clientele in Missouri? And she's like, I don't do it. I'm like, well, you ready for me to be honest? You know what I mean? Like, because I let her try to figure it out. Yeah. And I'm like, you brought the same energy from a city that you had to find energy in to a new place. Mm-hmm. This place already has energy you need. You don't need to bring that type of energy. You need to change that energy so that it suits you. Yeah. Because now the way you're promoting yourself, if I'm looking at you from the outside in, I can tell that that's not really you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Boom, literally, Boom did that, and literally while I was sitting here where we're getting ready, she texted me. She's like, I just got a client.
That's awesome.
She just made a post this morning, like after we got off the phone. She's like, hey, I got availability, blah, 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 blah. And she said a girl DM'd her and was like, hey, like, is it okay if we can train on Thursday? I've been following you for a couple weeks.
Wow.
But because of your aura, you're coming off, it makes you seem like some bitchy ass trainer, like you're better than the rest of the girls you want to work out with. Like, oh, this body was built overnight, and like wasn't built overnight, blah, blah. It's like, hey, relax. You know what I mean? Like, we get it. You know what I'm saying? So, but she had to give up on that version of herself, because sometimes that shit will hold you back. Yeah, that's powerful. I mean? Just like when I tell you, like, you might need to give up on the thinking, the overthinking, man, because the overthinking might be holding you back from certain rooms that you can step into that you're like, damn, like you get into this room, you're like, damn, I just met with the stock marketer, the stock broker, whatever, and this guy's like, hey man, like, we want to give you $4,000 to see how you invested. You never know who's listening or who's watching, bro. So that's my why, bro. Is like to discover when to give up on certain parts of yourself, and once you discover that, bro, like, the odds are forever in your favor, bro. Like that, I literally can't. I should be dead, bro. Like, I've seen people get gunned down. I've been stabbed at before. I've had a gun pointed to my head, and like based off of like me giving up on being this badass or whatever, I've folded for people before. Like, like bro, like you can have my money. Like just take my money. When I initially could have slapped the gun and beat his ass. You know what I mean? It's like anything could have went wrong. You know what I mean? I remember one guy, and this is like a little short story before we get off, but one guy was like, in high school, bro, I was like, me and my brother moved into a house on our own, and like I was like, stealing, like I was doing some bad shit. Yeah. And I never let my brother get into any of that shit. Like I used to steal food from Walmart. From people, I used to rob people. Yeah. I used to do all types of bad shit, bro. And I didn't feel like a low of a person because I was doing it to take care of me and my brother. It wasn't like I'm just trying to get some money in my pocket. I was always feeding us. His friends would come over. I was taking care of us, bro. Yeah. And I remember at one point, bro, I was in a car and like this guy like came to rob me, bro. And I had a Lexus, and like my window had already been shot out in the back and shit. Oh shit! And like I was sitting at this bowling alley, bro, and the dude like it was weird. He kicked my door, like it scared me. He kicked my door, and then his buddy opened my passenger door. So I don't know if he tried to kick my door to jam it, or like I couldn't get out. Oh yeah. And his buddy opened my passenger door or whatever, and like he had like this long ass switchblade, and he's like give me all the fucking money, and screaming at me or whatever. And like in hindsight, I'm looking out the window. It's like I'm like this dude is little as fuck. Like the dude at the door, and like the way the guy was like leaning in the car. Yeah. I'm like, if I can snap your shit, bro, and like I could have really got out, turned the car and sped off. Yeah. But I was like, bro, why are y'all doing this? You know what I mean? Like, do y'all need money? Like or whatever? And and I'm not gonna say their names or whatever, but we're cool now. Yeah. Me and those people, like we have conversations pretty regularly now. And during that time, bro, they're best friends. They were both going through like the most traumatic time of their lives where they felt like they needed to do ignorant shit to get by. Like y'all are both in college, you both have jobs. Why the fuck y'all robbing people? Yeah. Like I'm stealing money and shit like that because I'm fucking 14. And me and my brother are living in a fucking 3-bedroom house alone. You know what I mean? Like for what? And like we ended up bowling, like going bowling together, like having conversations, bro. And like they were telling me like what was going on, and I'm like, damn, like. You guys right now are feeding off of each other's trauma, and it's creating egos that neither one of you guys need to have. You know what I mean? But if I could have acted wild and like got stabbed or killed or whatever, or one of us could have got hurt. You know what I mean? When really, people who do ignorant shit are just doing it based off of pain that they've experienced that they haven't assessed. Yeah, that's literally what ignorance is, bro. Like women who sleep with multiple men. People are like, daddy issues. Maybe she doesn't have daddy issues. Maybe it's connected to like her only feeling loved based off of sexual encounters. Yeah. So it's like, just stuff like that, man, is like that basis. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and that's why I said like discover your give ups. And once you discover your give ups, bro, like I'm telling you, you'll be driving one day, bro, like fuck, man, like I'm fuck, I can't fucking stand that bitch.
Yeah,
You're speaking negative
Yeah,
energy
yeah.
around. No, I'm serious, bro.
Yeah.
You're speaking like bad shit will happen. You'll be cussing to yourself. It's like, bro, you're giving bad energy to the universe. It's gonna give that shit right back. So that you give that shit up. Like I'm done with that version of myself. And you'll start driving and be like, well, it happens. Bad shit happens to people every day. It ain't no different to you than it is somebody else. While you're crying about fucking spilt milk, somebody just got shot and their cow's dead.
Yeah.
Now they can't drink ever again. You know what I mean? So just discover your give ups, bro, and give up on those things to be better of a version of yourself.
That's powerful, man.
That's the only thing I can really like. That's if a takeaway.
Yeah.
Like that's my mindset, man. That's why I can't stay angry long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I tell people like bad shit happens to me a lot, bro. It's weird. Like Luis was like, bad shit seems to always happen to me, bro. Like relationship wise, situation wise, personal shit. Like bad shit seems to always happen to me. And it's like, okay, God, what's up? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we running with it. You know what I mean? Like I got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I make terrible situations look like wins, and like that's I run with it, bro.
Yeah.
People like damn, that was fucked up. Boom, my house flooded just 3 weeks ago. Flooded, and then my heat stopped working, and it was fucking freezing out here.
Wow.
And I was like, boom, 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 boom. Talked to my landlord, blah, 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 whatever. And then like went to the office the next week. Somebody paid my rent.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was never negative about the
Yeah,
situation. I was
yeah.
like, I was just trying to assess. You know what I mean? I gave up on that. Oh man, fuck this, like stupid ass landlord. It was like I was relaxed about it. You know what I mean? And I think that's why I'm winning today. And maybe not financially, maybe not. I would love to have a relationship and like have a woman by my side that's rocking with me. You know what I mean? Like whatever. So like I still yearn for those type of things, but I think that because I've found ways to give up on those bad versions of myself is why I'm going to continue to win.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, like I'm one of God's favorites. Like that's like my slogan.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm one of God's favorites. Like I tell people that
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah.
So that's probably my takeaway, man. And that, and just I freaking appreciate the hell out of y'all. Like,
Dude, I
let me
appreciate you
on.
coming on, dude.
I'm
I'm
glad
just
I met
talking
you.
to you. I've learned, man. I've learned stuff about myself, stuff about life in general, stuff about people. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, and I would love to do this again, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I would
dude,
love to.
definitely.
I would definitely love to do this again, man. For sure.
I enjoy having this, and I'm really excited for the audience that are gonna watch this to really sit down and watch.
Where do y'all
this.
stream this through? Is it through YouTube or how do you do this?
So we're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
This is Luis.
Yes, sir.
Introduce yourself, man. Tell me.
My name is Luis. Luis Reyes. Just a regular old Hispanic dude. Nothing too big.
Introduce yourself.
what up, man? My name's Julio. Just here living in Carthage, man, living life, talking to Jenner over here, man. Great guy.
Appreciate it, brother. Y'all
Awesome.
stay easy.
Yep. This is General Lee, people.
You real quick before we go, you want to shout out your Instagram or something? Your
Oh,
your
yes,
training?
sir. Yes, sir. So my Instagram is focus_elite17. That's my fitness page. I've just started actually 3 clothing lines. One of them is called Bum Behavior. It stands for 2 things: building unbreakable minds, and then to behave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then building up money. So that's like my like fashion icon
Heck
type
yeah.
gear.
Yeah.
And
And,
then I got KVC. Oh, hold on, just a second.
No, you're good.
I got KVC and QVC, which is my fitness brand, which is Kings versus Company and Queens versus Company. That's gonna be like my clothing line. But that's me, man. I'm a personal trainer, dog trainer, fitness guru. I'm probably the most humble outgoing guy you ever meet in your life. So,
Pretty much everything, huh?
yeah, a little bit of. My dad calls me Mr. Renaissance.
Renaissance.
So I do a little bit. If there's something I don't know, I'm gonna learn it. You know what I mean? So
Awesome. I
But
like
yeah,
that.
that's my Instagram, and my Snapchat is actually the same as well. So if people want to follow, I do personal, like I said, personal training, all that kind of stuff. So hit me up.
Awesome. Appreciate it. I think this is it for this one.
Yep.
And I'll see you guys soon.
Appreciate you boys, man.
Man, thanks, man. Dude.